I'm ready for some high school football. News 12 now.
We are kicking off a brand new season with 8 new classifications in the state, new reconfigured conferences, but the same old great rivalries.
Who's got my back?
And the thing you want to see most.
Hit down.
On this week 1 edition of the Blitz. No easing into this year. We start with intense rivalry games like West Craven invading Wilbur Sasser Field. The Eagles trying to break their 8-game losing streak to the Rams. Richlands and Southwest Onslow both have new head coaches, but the same intense distaste for losing to the other. We have Battle Royale highlights from the Corral. East Duplin and Wallace Rose Hill had their traditional slobber knocker, but now they're playing for the River Classic Traveling Trophy. Plus highlights from the Bowie Bowl and all the other border wars around ENC. Time to find out who has bragging rights.
The Blitz starts now! Yeah!
Hey, welcome to another award-winning edition of the Blitz.
It's a new year with new classifications. We went from 4 to 8, so that means 8 state champions 16 weeks from now.
We've got revamped conferences as well. We'll have the next month or so to figure those out.
But those changes have created some schedule changes, and we are kicking off with some big rivalries we've really seen this year in the season.
So let's start with our Warlick Law Firm Blitz Premier matchup. All Craven County rivals, West Craven and Havelock, met at Wilbur Sasser Field at Rams Stadium. Both teams picked to win their respective conferences. And what a slobber knocker this one was. Scoreless through the first 3 quarters. Defense ruling the day. Madison, James Madison. That's Christopher Bispham with a sack. But West Craven comes right back with their big studs. Emmanuel Miller stuffing the running back. And Mike Lee says, come on, West Craven. We haven't beaten Havelock in 8 years. Well, Havelock gave them a gift. 3 minutes to go in this scoreless game. The punt snap goes over the punter's head. Mike Twitchell tells his guy that, look, DJ Davis, it's up to you. We're inside the 20. Take it in yourself, young man. The senior quarterback, 3-year starter, does it. 7-0 West Craven in the lead. Brett Wooten says, we got one last chance. Yes, we've got to replace a lot of weapons on offense this year, trying to figure it out, and they just couldn't move the ball at West Craven. The Eagles do it. They break their 8-game losing streak to Havelock and get their first win at Ram Stadium since 2016.
It's one of the hardest places in the state to come in a football game. And yeah, I knew I felt like it was going to be a defensive struggle. You don't have the level of coaching and talent and players on the defensive side of the ball that Havelock has this year. And go out there and just think you're going to score a bunch of points, especially on the road. So, we were able to catch a break in the 4th quarter and capitalized on it. Just, hanging around, being tough, leaning on your teammates, leaning on the work that you put in all summer can get you lucky in the back end of a game like this.
So good start for West Craven, who will host Wilson Prep next week. Havelock has a big game at New Bern.
New Bern opened its season with a bus trip to Wilmington to take on perennial power New Hanover, as it was the Wildcats at home down in Wilmington. And you're going to see a lot of Wildcat highlights, but it was really New Bern. They dominated. Terrence McCormick looked good. The offensive line, Terrence Saxby, talked all week about, looked great. They only allowed 1 touchdown to the Wildcats, but that defense came up clutch. 32-7, a huge win on the road to start off the season for New Bern, and Saxby, yeah, he's happy about that heading into week 2.
Or Philly didn't know they were supposed to send a New Bern specific highlights. So that's why we don't see many Bears, but good win for the Bears. Okay, South Lenoir. It's been a while since they've won some games, so they hosted Jones Senior, and the boys in blue from Deep Run, they were looking good. Check out the TD pass. Jones Senior back to 11-man football this year, and they're trying to figure out their way back in the Coastal Plains Conference, and they were hoping they could get one on the road just across the border from Pleasant Hill, but that did not happen. Deep Run for South Lenoir, huge win, 46-6, as they get that victory. South Lenoir off the schneid, big win for the guys on the south side of Lenoir County.
Now, 20 years ago, neighbors White Oak and Northside Jacksonville always used to start the season against each other. They had some classics.
They sure did. Well, it's back to the future. The two schools separated by just 3.5 miles kicked off their season against each other at Northside. The Vikings made the short trip to Mike Smith Stadium. And hey, look out for those Monarchs. Remember last year they started the season really strong, winning their first 2 games? Well, here they go again, right up the gut. It is Reginald Gray, the stud sophomore. They moved him to quarterback, and he does it. He leads the Monarchs to their first win over White Oak. Final score, 35-16. Northside starts 1-0 for the second straight year.
Next up for Jacksonville, or Northside is Jacksonville. The Cardinals hosted a potent West Carteret squad out of Morehead City as they met at the 50-yard line. And check out the new dark blue helmets for Daniel Barrow's crew, right up the gut for the touchdown. Patriots leading in this game. How about again on offense though? Back of the end zone, what a touchdown grab from DeJabrin Murray. The pass from his, of course, quarterback Tanner Payne. He's heading to Elon next year, but Jacksonville trying to find a way to come back into this game. A deep shot and throw. How about that catch for the touchdown, Saron Thompson? Final score, this one between West Carteret and Jacksonville. Let's check it out together.
Cardinals roll in this one. They get the 43-24 victory. Anthony Washington at quarterback. Watch out for him for Jacksonville. West Carteret plays East Carteret next week for the Mullet Bucket, one of the great trophy games that we have. The Mariners open their season at home against their other county rival, Croatan. And check out Andrew Boucher. The water boy is back for another year. We love him and his running. We love the sunset that was happening in Beaufort tonight, and we love the touchdown passes all over the place. Caleb Tipton, the catch, and Croatan had no problems winning this rivalry game. They roll 60-0. Mr. Boucher and company off to the good start at 1-0.
Gannon McBride, their quarterback. He's also their kicker and a star basketball player, first year in the center. But another big rivalry game, North Lenoir and Greene Central had their battle of Browntown. Thanks to Jaden Willis for the video of the pick six from his alma mater. The Rams rolled over the Hawks 55-0. Woo!
Highway 17 rivalry game. Northeastern traveled south to Windsor to take on Bertie. And check out Bertie's new look helmets that they have. It's a kind of a cool winged look that Ronald Pugh has brought. And look, it started off great off the squib kick. Bertie recovers. Jonathan Gwynn with the recovery. And Coach Pugh hoping his offense will go to work. Donald Porter, though, is going to come up with the interception and takes it out of the red zone to set up set up Northeastern in a good possession. Darren Ruffin with the interception by Northeastern. And then it's Damari McNeil as Northeastern does it. They go down into Windsor and they get the 49-0 shutout win over. Oh, nice one-handed catch for those Northeastern Eagles who look like they're really good again. All right, we're just getting started here on the season opening edition of the Blitz. East Duplin, Wallace, Rose Hill. They played for a brand new trophy. We've got that coming up in just a little bit.
It's our Coastal Carolina Community College fans in the stands. It was the Conley Crazies at Hollywood Crossroads. We take you back, not there quite yet, but up next, East Duplin, Wallace, Rose Hill.
Thank you for watching the Blitz. All this revamping of classifications and conferences created some interesting opening night matchups we've never seen before.
Like Wallace, Rose Hill, and East Duplin, they normally play the last game of the regular season with a conference title on the line.
I don't ever remember them playing the first game of the year, though. They're playing for a traveling trophy for the first time ever, the River City Classic Bell, perched on top of that rolling stand with the names of the two teams on both sides. Well, East Duplin says, we want to win that inaugural trophy as they get the TD from Alan Stooks. The big guy takes it in, Kevin Motzinger. He's got some guys beat up. He lost one of his best linebackers for the year with an ACL, trying to find a way, but his offense just struggled to move the ball tonight against a really good defense. There's the stickers for Dr. O, who was the superintendent of Duplin County Schools, who died a month or so ago from cancer. All the Duplin County schools wearing that sticker on their helmets this year. And then East Duplin making him proud as well with the Keyshawn McKinney touchdown. And yep, the trophy, the River City Classic. Look at Battle Holly ringing the bell. And then the players got to do it afterwards. They take that thing back to Beulahville with a 21-0 win.
James Keenan is another Duplin County powerhouse that made a short trip to Dudley to take on Southern Wayne on the road here for Tim Grady and his Tigers. Looking around, who is that on the run? Keep it going. No one's going to tackle him and find a way into the end zone for the touchdown. James Keenan feeling good in the white and black uniforms on the road as they took care of business, getting the win on the road. 56-3, yeah, no touchdowns for Southern Wayne.
All right, North Duplin, the other perennial power in that county. The Rebels made the trek to Beaufort County to take on Southside of their new head coach, Coach Quinterly. He's been around a long time, but now finally getting to call the shots. And who's that? Luke Schwartz.
That's Trayshawn Ruffin, UNC commit is North Duplin. Under Hugh Martin, you know what they're going to do, rumbling, bumbling, stumbling into the end zone. But how about this throw deep downfield? Actually, it's an interception for Vance Carter. Could he take it all the way for a pick six? No, he's pushed out of bounds. Punt in the end zone. I feel like this is smelling like a punt return touchdown. Ooh, juke after juke, cutting the field. Garris Warren all the way. Was that a touchdown? It doesn't look like they gave it to him.
We're going to call it because our highlights ran out. All right, Coach Q not happy. Coach Q not the only new head coach on the sidelines this year. We have a whole bunch of coaches making their debuts tonight, including a guy named Brian Pascal.
But it's not his first stint there. He's back at Washington, where he used to coach from 1996 to 2001.
He and the Pan Pack hosted Farmville Central at Choppy Wagner Stadium. And there's Mr. Pascal, looking like he never left. So many years ago, trying to rebuild that program. And, well, offensively, Washington had trouble holding on to the ball, and Farmville Central took advantage. That is Nate Marshall going the other way. And then, how about the interception for Farmville Central? Free safety just playing back there. And Cam Hall picks it off and makes that nice return. And Farmville Central does it. Ron Cook says he likes being the underdog this year and nobody really talking about him. He watched his team go into Washington, and they get the victory by the final 30-14.
Now over in Winterville, South Central has a new head coach in Mr. Ryan Bowie. He brought his middle brother over, Corey, but they played Kinston, where his younger brother Tyler is the defensive coordinator. As Kinston led 13-7, trying to add to their lead, but how about Ezra Meacham? No fly zone in the DBs with the interception, and so Coach Bowie likes seeing that. He told his quarterback Jalen Butts, let's look for something downfield too, but Kinston said, I can do anything you can do better. Jamoris Poole with the interception. Could he take it back for a house call? No, but it certainly set up Ryan Gieselman and his offense to hopefully do something, but back and forth. I think there's going to be a theme here. Once again, another interception. South Central would use that defense, turn it into offense, tie it 13-all, came back to win the game 21-19, and Coach Bowie's homecoming first game as a Falcon, getting the win over his younger brother.
North Pitt opened up their season at home in Bethel against the new decaling Martin County Gators. There's the familiar orange of North Pitt, and check out those Gators.
The Gators, Ethan Wilson with the big-time tackle. So first-year head coach John Wheeler leading the Gators. He had some words of wisdom, which led to the nice transition here on offense. How about the quarterback? Fly route, or just a fade route, and the touchdown, just pointing, you know what we like there. 7-0. CJ Wilson up top, not on the sideline, and he got a great view of this kick return by Devon Hudson. He could go all the way. He tied it up 7-all as this game was back and forth until the Panthers clawed out a gritty 18-14 win at home over the Gators.
Second straight year they picked out a close win over John Wheeler. Well, John wasn't there last year, but those Gators. Garrett Wingate, your new head coach at Ayden-Grifton High School, taking over for Paul Cornwell. He and his Chargers made the trip to play on the turf at Princeton, and check out the new quarterback. That is John Fields finding the TD pass. As AG was putting up some points here, you know they got EJ Ruffin. He is great again this year, but Princeton would take advantage at home of that offense. It would have a few issues, including this fumble, and look, it's going to get returned just about all the way for the Bulldogs, and Princeton does it. They win at home, spoiling Garrett Wingate's debut 40-35 in a wild game, but T.O. McFadder with the fat TD run for 90-something yards.
You had to throw that in there. All right, let's go over to Greenville, where the Conley Crazies were, yes, exactly that. Crazy. Going wild in a 7-7 game against Laney at the Hollywood Crossroads until Kalijah Booth decided to snap the tie, make it 14-7 in the fourth quarter. Jacksonville native, though, Steve Brooks in year one leading the Buccaneers. He needed a stop on defense, but Samari Cabell finding one of his favorite targets, getting the first down. He was able to show you that. And guess who's on the sideline? First year DH Conley, Matt Taylor going, bloop! We got the win on this one, 14-7, a victory to start out. Head coach Nate Connors, 11th, 12th year with the team. Yeah, he's been there for a while, but they get the dub over the Buccaneers.
The real Nate Connor. Pamlico County has a new head coach. Brandon Akins takes over the Hurricanes program. Coach's first varsity game against Kit Pride. The hammer goes down. They got stuck. Then the Hurricanes offense and defense got stuck a little bit too. Kit Pride, they look pretty good. Kit Pride normally not great, but they came out, put a touchdown on the board. Brandon Akins says, look, it's not over. Pamlico played well for a while, but then coughed it up. And Kit Pride goes into Bayboro, spoils Brandon Akins' debut, 72-7. Got a little out of hand at the end. It wasn't that bad early on, but Kit Pride goes and gets that victory. All right, a couple more highlights to show you, including the Battle Royale. So make sure you stay with us to take a look at what happened between Southwest Onslow and Richlands. We check out the band. Always love the band. Students contributing to the Friday Night atmosphere. Thank you for watching the Blitz. Another big rivalry game is the one that is usually played later in the season, but this year Richlands and Southwest Onslow kicked off against each other.
The Wildcats with their new logo, check it out, and their new head coach took their 3-game winning streak over the Stallions to the Corral regular horseshoe.
The SWO with their new head coach, alum Zach Garvey, taking on Billy Good and his Wildcats, and Richlands putting a kick into this one. They've been kicking it a lot lately, and that is a field goal. There was a couple of them by Richlands to take the 6-0 lead, and then how about the defense? That is Bo Mills. Bo knows interceptions. Bo knows pick sixes. Bo knows Richlands has won 4 in a row in this series. New coach, doesn't matter. The Wildcats win over the Stallions 18-6.
It's always a close game with Southwest. They got a great team, great coaching staff. Boys played their hearts out and just kept pounding away.
Any secret to your success tonight?
Just discipline. They know we're always outmanned, undersized. They just keep fighting.
Great win for Billy Good and his Richlands Wildcats, who now head to White Oak next week.
Now let's stay in Onslow County for another big rivalry game as Dixon welcomed their Highway 17 antagonists from Topsail. Check out the new turf in Dixon. Donor paid to have Crown taken out of the field, so there's some new grass as Topsail's quarterback found a way into the end zone for the touchdown. That would be number 15, Tyler Vickers. One sideline scout the Pirates head coaches, the other for the Bulldogs has Kelly Davis, used to coach at Topsail, and then here goes J.J. Galot breaking away for the touchdown, getting the score. This game would go into overtime, as you see there. Yes, that's a spoiler. They got the win 42-40, but how about number 4 for Dixon? Sean Delaney scored the go-ahead touchdown for the win for Dixon to start out. Kelly Davis's another year 3 with the Bulldogs.
And he said they needed to learn how to win this year, and that's a great start for them winning over that rivalry game. Time for our bonus games. Let's start in Swansboro. The Pirates trying to break the 22-game losing streak, hosted South Columbus. Great start. The old end-around Kevin Till pass to Carmelo Beasley. And what a start for Swansboro, headed to that big old American flag. Look out, the celebration so much it took out our cameraman. Then the defense for Swansboro, also trying to come up big, and they do with the big sack and celebration. The Patriot says, say that young man's name on TV, Dylan Myers. Well, Dylan gets the sack, but then South Columbus, those Stallions who made the trip all the way from the South Carolina border, here they come as they get the touchdown, and they would hold on thanks to Easton McPherson and company to get the 27-21 win over Swansboro. Now to our Blitz Extra. Highlights not seen on the Friday Night Blitz because we ran out of time. But now we have all the time in the world on YouTube.
Yeah, world to show you some of the other big games around Eastern North Carolina.
Like the north side of Beaufort County had its home opener in Yeatsville. Big shout out to Kelly Hewitt for hooking us up with some of her awesome video. And check it out as it's going to be Jamari Whitney who takes it into 1 touchdown. And then Another long touchdown by Malachi Moore. He was on it, so were the Panthers. They put a beat down on those Bruins at home, 48-8. So great start for Keith Boyd and Northside as they get the victory in Kinston.
Now Tarboro made the short trip to Rocky Mount to take on the Griffins. Tarboro going to be in that new conference with Kinston. Of course, another year with Jeff Craddock means more touchdowns right up the gut. How about number 2? Of course, Cameron McDowell Moore. 3 names, but 2 legs to get him a touchdown. But the Griffins did respond with a score of their own in Rocky Mount, but once again, just handed off to number 2 as Tarboro gets the win on the road, 20-16. That was a close one.
That's a big one, always a big rivalry. And Cameron McDowell Moore, 3 names, 15 scholarship offers, by the way. But Tarboro, that's another big win. They want to be battle tested this year, and they certainly did, holding on to beat Rocky Mount. Lots of US 64 rivalry games. Southwest Edgecombe hosted Nash Central out of Rocky Mount. And those Cougs hoping to have a good season. Their defense trying to force the fumble, and they do. Yeah, it's that time of year. You could get some sickness. What about the Cougars' offense? Well, their shifty quarterback keeping it. Davion Mayo Jr. Put a little Mayo on that thing if you want. And then Mayo Jr. again. This time the lefty. Oh, big hit by Nash Central. Get a load of this final score from Pine Tops. It was Southwest Edgecombe winning an interestingly scored game, 13-5. Nash Central getting that field goal to get them the 5, but Southwest Edgecombe had 13, and that's the more important stat as their defense did the job picking out Nash Central.
Lejeune was the first public school to kick off its season. The Devil Pups traveled to Clayton to take on the American Leadership Academy of Johnston County. We just call them ALAJ because that's too long to say. Kickoff at 4 because they don't have lights up yet, but they were playing lights out as it was the Patriots who got the win 42-0, but this is a process. Sam Kazoo in first year leading the Devil Pups at Camp Lejeune. He's a 1988 graduate, so he knows what it takes to win as a Devil Pup, and he wants to see that success continue, but he knows it's going to take time.
And ALAJ is pretty good. Shout out to the class of 88, by the way. Beargrass Charter started its season at home. The Bears hosted Wayne Christian. The Eagles playing second game of the year. And they liked what they saw in Martin County at first, getting the touchdown pass here. But Beargrass, Terry Perry says, come on, we're going to win at home, and we're going to do what we normally do. And that is run that wing tee and take it all the way to the house. As the sun was setting, Beargrass Charter gets the win over Wayne Christian. Big win for TP and the Bears, 19-12 to start their season off right.
Let's slide on over to Kinston and the NCISAA. Parrott Academy had their home opener at Hodges Field in Kinston, hosted the Maryland School of Deaf, as it was a fly sweep and a run and touchdown for the Orioles, as number 9 Julio Cuadrado scored the touchdown. They would go up 14-0, but Matt Beeman knew that his quarterback and his team, despite trailing, the big difference would come back as they led 22-20 going into halftime and found a way to get the win 52-26. They start the season 2-0. They beat Evangel Christian last week. Now they beat the Maryland State champions. The Patriots are going to be a force to reckon with in 8-man football this year.
All right, well, you know, John Paul II also has something to say about that as well. They traveled to the Raleigh area to take on Wake Christian. How about Gentry McMinn? 3 touchdowns for number 7, appropriately wearing the jersey of number 7 because that's what he scored on this TD run and added 2 more with it. The 41-8 win for the season opening win over Wake Christian. So JP2, a big road victory to start the year as well. Let's check out some other scores involving teams around Eastern North Carolina. It was Sand Hills beating Liberty Christian as they were hoping, Liberty Christian, they could get off the season with a good start. This is their 3rd year of the program. Didn't happen. They lose on the road. Faith Christian taking out Hungo Christian as well. Well, JP2, we just showed you, beat Wake Christian 41-8.
And here's some more high school football scores. Manio taking care of Washington County. They're 3-0 all-time against the Panthers. Clinton got the win over the Leopards, 19-14. And then Midway they rob as Raiders the Hobton Wildcats 35-0 in a shutout win.
Interesting win for Clinton as they had a rough year last year. All right, one more scoreboard to show you, and it has Goldsboro getting shut out by Eastern Wayne. The Warriors have high hopes. Remember, they're picked to finish second in that conference behind West Craven. It was CB Aycock hammering Rosewood in an all-Wayne County affair, and J.H. Rose, remember they went into Northern Nash last year in the playoffs and beat the Knights, handing them their only loss of the season. Well, Northern Nash, remember that. They had to hold on. Rose had a pass fall incomplete in the end zone as time expired, and Nash gets the win over the Rampants, 26-20. So there you go. That's week one here of the Blitz. Initial thoughts of what you saw this evening.
I mean, great football, but how about Ryan Bowie? I mean, he was picked preseason last place in their conference, and to get the win over his little brother in Kinston, who have so many weapons, and a lot of success will come for the Vikings, but pretty cool for Coach Bowie.
He told me this last week, he said, look, we talk to my brother every day, and my little brother is the defensive coordinator. I call the plays. We're going to have a chess match. We've been lying to each other all week about what we're going to run and what we're going to do, but little brother wins out, or big brother wins out on this one over little brother. And Kinston, who a lot of people thought may have a chance to even run the table, start off the season with a loss. We'll see how Ryan Gieselman's team responds after that.
And they will.
New Bern impressive on the road, getting a big win. Next up, they have Havelock, and Havelock's going to figure out its offense.
Well, their defense still, despite losing to West Craven for the first time in 8 years, I mean, they did only hold them to 7 points, and that was because of that muffed punt. So really, this is a team that, like you said, has to figure it out on offense, but they have the defense to be a successful team.
They have to replace Jonathan Williams, who's at ECU.
It's a
LeBron
list.
Sharp, who is at NC Central, who plays this weekend. Their quarterback, who set all sorts of records last year. So Caleb King, the offensive coordinator, I'm sure he'll find some ways. They have to get their quarterback some experience. They've got a freshman running back. Watch out for number 8. He's going to be pretty good as well. On the flip side, West Craven, a huge win for them. That's a confidence booster that they really need. They go home against Wilson Prep next week. And for Mike Twitchell, you know, it looks like it's good mojo happening right now. But as he said in the post-game huddle, this is just one of what they hope will be 15 or 16, but it's a good start for him. Good start for Richlands, beating Southwest Onslow in the battle of the new coaches.
Huge for Coach Good. I mean, he didn't know going into this year that he was going to be in the head coaching position, but to come in and to get a rivalry win to kick off the season, there's so much pressure on a first-year head coach, but when you play your rival to start out, that's huge, and you could tell there was just emotion pouring out on his face.
Yeah, that's interesting. They've never won 4 in a row in this series, so that I'm aware of. If it was back long before.
You would know.
Yeah, well, so Southwest Onslow, now we'll see what they have to do with Zach Garvey trying to get things going there. East Duplin impressive with a win over Wallace Rose Hill. Wallace banged up a little bit. So, you know, a lot of interesting things. Farmville Central, big road win tonight.
That was huge. At
Washington, with Brian Pascal getting back as he rebuilds that program. And Northside Jacksonville, second year in a row, big impressive win. It's been a few minutes since they beat White Oak, 2016, 17, something like that. So, huge win for Coach Pollock and the Northside Monarchs. So, interesting week one.
Down that week too, or down that road as well, Dixon. That was a huge win for Kelly Davis and the Bulldogs. They struggled last year, like you said, 2-8, but to get that first win under their belt and be 1-0 in the season, that's huge.
8 of those losses, 6 were by a touchdown or less or something.
Like
they were in games that couldn't figure out how to win.
possession.
We'll see if this carries over for Dixon, but they're a growing school. That Highway 17 corridor is growing and growing, and so Coach Davis seems like he's got things going on right now. All right, well, that's just week one. We've got a lot more to go. Week 2 is always interesting. Why? Because we have teams that are going to play Thursday night and teams are going to play Friday night. So we'll have games all over the place for you. We've also got college games going on with ECU playing NC State on that Thursday night. So we'll see what we can do to get it covered. But week one is in the books. We avoided the storm. We avoided the bad weather.
We did avoid the storm.
We got one weekend.
No delays, no rain, no nothing. I mean, for everything that usually goes on outside this building, that was perfect. That was very perfect.
For 1 week. Probably Mother Nature or her wrath will come out after that. But, hey, thank you for watching The Blitz. For Luke Schwartz, I'm Brian North. We'll see you back here on The Blitz Extra here on YouTube for week 2 in 7 days.